Why do some progressive relate Free Palestine with LGBTQ rights? I've noticed in many Palestinian rallies signs along the words of queer rights means Free Palestine, etc. I'm not here to discuss opinions or the validity of these arguments. I just want to understand how it makes sense. While progressives can be correct in fighting for various groups' rights simultaneously, it strikes me as odd because Palestinian culture isn't anywhere close to being sexually progressive or tolerant from what I understand. Why not deal with those two issues separately? Because the whole injustice somewhere is injustice everywhere is taken literally and not figuratively. That's why movements like Occupy Wall Street fail when everyone comes in with their pet grievances. And same-sex marriage succeeds with its laser-like focus on a narrow policy win. Yeah, I agree. I'm a gay man. I used to attend pro-Palestinian protests, but after what happened to the Israeli civilians, I don't feel safe attending them. I think the US should use our funding of Israel as a bargaining chip to rein in their aggression. And I think Biden has been trying to do that, but it is a tightrope act. The Israeli state recognizes same-sex unions. But that doesn't mean I'll give them a pass when they level entire city blocks in Gaza, even if the civilians they killed are not for gay rights. It's much easier to support Ukraine, which is pro-gay rights, fending off the Russians who despise gay people. Hamas is infamous for throwing one of their gay members off the top of a building and videotaping it as a warning to any other homosexuals in Gaza. Some people on the left have some really strange ideas about human rights. And who is actually in favor of them? I don't know. But as a gay atheist who recognizes how much anti-Semitism is baked into Palestine, this view can screw the hell off. I don't understand the comments here. Like, because of the poor LGBT treatment in the region means I have to support children being bombed into pieces? Intersectionality apart. Even if Palestinians are not among the most progressive people in the world, there are as many LGBTQ Palestinians as in any other nation. They're bombing them, forcing them out of their homes, destroying their country and killing their loved ones. Of course LGBTQ groups will speak up. The first thing any genocidal evil wants to do is to dehumanize their victims. It's good to remember that Palestinians are not a uniform mass. They are people just like any of us, and, of course, fighting for their lives is also fighting for the lives of LGBTQ people. The most charitable interpretation is LGBTQ and Palestinians are suppressed, and therefore one should support a fellow suppressed person, but the optics look stupid considering what would happen to them if they lived in the West Bank, Gaza, kidnapped and executed. Simplistic oppressor versus narrative, I think, mixed with a lack of understanding. Unfortunately, internalized homophobia is still a problem for many. Supporting peace and freedom for Palestinians is one thing, but actually supporting Hamas is very counterproductive for LGBT people. It is an opportunity for them to table thump about the only things they care about to begin with: the advancement of the interests of their chosen identity group. Unpopular opinion because they aren't willing to criticize brown theocrats. Seriously. That's what it is. We're willing to criticize the Supreme Court and have concerns of theocrats in the USA, and we should. But not a country that arrests its LGBT people for being who they are. And the people of Palestine are not Hamas, even if they did vote for them. Although with different generations, even that's not quite as relevant. And Israel isn't innocent in this conflict. And I don't want to get into all of that. But I just find it odd how we have this tolerance catch-22 of tolerating intolerance based on certain circumstances. Because infringing on human rights for one is infringement on human rights for all. It means that in Western spaces, the path for equality for gender and sexual equality must include equality for all oppressed peoples. When people care about oppressed peoples, the application of cultural litmus tests are cruel, like say how the Salvation Army had a stance of not assisting the LGBTQ community. Imagine only giving a damn about people who only share your values. That creates a really cruel world that only makes tribalism worse. A lot of people are pointing to the concept of intersectionality, which is valid. I would say it's more likely you are seeing this because there are a lot of people who argue that, due to Palestine's anti-LGBTQ stances, queer people shouldn't support them. Generally, the argument against this is that gay Palestinians are being killed and oppressed by Israel the same as straight Palestinians. It's actually crashingly stupid. The extreme Islamist approach is to execute any gays. Period. Any queers supporting them really have no idea what they're doing. Utter madness. I see the way people talk about the humanity of Palestinians, or more specifically, how their humanity is disregarded in the same way the humanity of LGBT people is often discarded. Regardless of how a Palestinian may feel about LGBT rights, they don't deserve to be forced into an open-air prison and bombed. Marginalized groups should stand up for each other. Otherwise, divided and conquered we fall. If you can't have solidarity with other people in their darkest hour, we can't expect it in ours. It's that simple. That support may not even be returned in the future, but it's still right to stand up. Many people are simply ignorant sheep that follow the crowd when it comes to supporting causes. I doubt many LGBTQ supporters even know that. Other than in Israel, you have a good chance of getting thrown off a roof for being gay in the Middle East, including in Palestine. Islam is seen as a non-white religion and non-white LGB in the progressive stack. The left has been incredibly inconsistent on this. Palestine Hamas is a right-wing, repressive, theocratic failed state. Israel is not anywhere near perfect, but clearly the better choice, since there's only two choices in the war in Gaza right now. Ignoring a secular democracy in favor of Hamas is anti-leftist and regressive. I don't find it odd. There are just people who believe that human rights and the right to exist are not conditional. People like OP don't realize that's what they're doing when they express such confusion. It's an easy trap to fall into because it's only human to do such. From a strategic point of view, there's a wider solidarity argument here, which is basically if LGBTQ activists want Palestinians, or immigrants, or black people, or people who care about climate change, etc., to show up for them in critical moments, then they need to do the same. It doesn't mean that every LGBTQ rally has to Palestinian or BLM flags too. But that in big moments like this, it's an important signal of solidarity that helps grow their movement to people who might not otherwise care about it. Because a religious government is trying to eradicate them. Just like evangelicals want to eradicate LGBTQ peoples in the US. One would think not wanting dead children would be an important issue to all people. I don't support Israel and I don't support Palestine. Palestinians allow Hamas to kill LGBT members. They are also against women's rights, racist, and against freedom of speech. I get why people do support, but the fact that a lot of people that support them would be killed there by the people they support is not lost on me. I choose to sit this one out because both sides can kiss my ass.